What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to talk about how I made this radiator guard. Alright, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, do us a favor. Get on there and hit that subscribe button. It only takes a second and we would greatly appreciate it. Now let's get into the reason you clicked on this video and show you how I made this radiator guard. Alright, there's pretty much the finished product there. Let you take a look at it. Pretty simple design, but it should be effective. And let me just go ahead and throw a disclaimer out there. I didn't come up with this idea. You can look online. It's been done many times before. I just did my take on it, I guess. But we'll show you the materials I used and how I went about making it. I went to Lowe's and picked up this expanded sheet, 12 by 24 weld steel. And that's one reason I painted it, so it wouldn't rust on me. And I went to AutoZone and picked up this door edge guard to cover up the sharp edges so I wouldn't get cut while I was washing the bike or doing any kind of maintenance on there. Well, what I did, as the sheet was flat, I took it and I cut it 18.5 inches wide. That was off some measurements I took prior off the radiator. I marked the center of this sheet and marked the center of my radiator, held it up there so I could get these marks where it wrapped the side of the radiator all the way down. Then I took it and ended up cutting this part this way, was 9 inches wide because I left it just a little bit long for the reasons of being able to make some adjustments on it. I took it, after I had it marked, I laid it on this edge and I put a 2x4 across there and I just bent it around so I'd have a good rolled edge on there. And did that on both sides. Then when I stuck it back up in there, I made this notch where the radiator cap is, so you wouldn't be interfered with hitting it on your hand every time you tried to check your coolant or whatever. And the reason I made mine bend like this is this wraps around the side of the radiator, and these holes lined up perfect with the side holes in the plastic shroud that actually bolts it to the radiator, so that holds it in place and don't let it move around. And I'll show you on the bike here what somebody did and some prior things I've seen. On this ridge right here, they would actually make it fit inside those ridges. And it was set directly on the radiator. I didn't think that'd be too effective because if something's touching exactly, if a rock kicks up, it's just gonna be direct impact with it. So this way, this thing sits here and bends around the radiator, and I'll, of course, we'll show you on the bike, but it leaves a gap there. If you can see that thing actually sticks off there, and that way it'll sort of act as a shock absorber for these rocks. So let's stick it on the bike and we'll see how it fits. All right, as you can see, that's on mounted up in there. Like I said, basically all it does is slide up, if you can see that, behind the shroud here on the side, and does the same thing on the other side. And it says basically, if you can see this, it's kind of hard because everything's black in there, but it sits up on there, and see now it's got some little bit of give to it. So I think if a rock hits that should absorb the impact and help it not damage the radiator. And all in all, with it painted black, trim piece on there, I mean, of course probably could do it a little better, but turned out pretty good. I think it should do the trick. And like I said, mainly why I wrapped it around the side, if you can see in that hole there, just put your bolt back in on both sides. It'll help it from sliding down. And I think what I'm gonna do is put a couple zip ties or cable ties through this hole, one on each side, and go through the bottom. There's a gap in there, and just hold that tight so I don't get any kind of weird vibrations or anything. And I think the kind that you actually purchase, the professional made ones, I guess, is they actually, some of them do zip tie to the radiator itself. And some people that I've seen online, like I said, when they put it in between those two ridges, they zip tie it on top and bottom. But I just wanted a little more extra security. Like I said, I wanted that gap for absorbing rocks too. So I think it's gonna work. And the reason, I've been wanting one of them since I got the bike, but kind of Too cheap to buy one, I guess. And I made this one for under $20, so it's not too bad. Save me some money for gas so I can ride more. And the main reason I did it, because in the last video, if you watched it, I actually cracked the fender. So the fender's actually supposed to be about that much longer. I cracked it way up here, so I went ahead and cut it. And it started making me worry even more that now that it's about, I don't know, 5-6 inches shorter, that it'll start kicking rocks even higher up into the radiator. So, and I definitely do a lot of off-roading, so definitely needed that. I think too, I'm going to take this piece right here and make me another rubber piece that hangs all the way down to here, protect the front of the motor a little more. So there it is. Pretty simple to make, pretty cost effective, and should do the job. All right, that about wraps it up. Like I said, it was pretty simple to make. I got about 17 or 18 bucks in it, something like that. Should add a lot of protection to the front from rocks and debris, so all in all, I think I'll be happy with it. And I know this is for 09 V-Strom, but I think you can apply it to pretty much anything that has a front-facing radiator. Just have to use your imagination and maybe have to do some different mounting techniques, but it should work pretty much for any bike out there. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.